And thanks. It's great to be here today to talk about Google Ads. Today, we're going to be talking about account structure, ads and extensions, and how we measure success. So a little bit about me. I have a small digital marketing agency called Root and Branch Group. We focus on Google Ads, SEO, Google Analytics, content strategy. Most of my working career, I worked for Dick's Sporting Goods, based out here in Pittsburgh, which is where I live right now. And then I briefly worked for GNC, and then after that started my agency. And the first digital marketing platform that I learned was Google Ads. At the time it was called Google AdWords. It hadn't been rebranded since. And there's a Starbucks close to my house where I would go and kind of do the certifications that Google provides. I remember failing that exam at least 2 times, maybe 3 times. And my first client was my aunt's HVAC wholesale business. And I remember trying to talk her into letting me run a Google AdWords search campaign for her. And she's like, well, how much do you want for it? And I was like, I don't know, $200 a month. And she's like, yeah, right. So we eventually settled on free. I didn't charge her anything because I didn't really know what I was doing, but she let me practice. And that kind of became the jumping off point to get some hands-on experience. Eventually became pretty comfortable with the Google Ads platform and then some of those other platforms that I mentioned. And now I teach the same kind of stuff at the University of Pittsburgh in their Digital Marketing Institute. So it's great to be here today. Hopefully I used up enough time about myself so that anybody else who wanted to join can join. And let's, oh, hey, there's me. Hi again, I'm Zach. Here's what we're going to talk about today. How to get certified in Google Ads search. If any of you want to go through that process that kind of jump-started my Google Ads journey, we'll walk through how you can do that. What some different campaign types are in Google Ads. Specifically, we'll talk about display and search, with search being our focus for today. And then we'll talk about how Google Ads is structured, how we can work in the platform. We'll talk about what the hierarchy means and what account, campaign, ad group, and keyword, how those things fit together, how we use them. And we'll talk about choosing keywords and negative keywords, how we can construct text ads, what our ads actually look like, using ad extensions, metrics for success. If we have time, we'll talk about bidding and match types at the end. If any of you were, I guess it was 10 days ago on April 11th, I also talked about Google Ads. This has been reconfigured since then to go into some different areas. So if you were there, well, I guess I should say if you weren't there, don't even worry about that. If you were there, hopefully there's some new stuff in here today that will make this worth your while. All right, so first, if you're interested, how do you get certified in Google Ad Search? Because, you know, an hour webinar is hopefully going to be very helpful for you in kind of getting a lay of the land and understanding how the platform works. But to really get very comfortable to the point where you're willing to spend your own money and compete against other advertisers in the Google Ads platform, then it might be worth getting certified. So if you decide you want to do that, this is the URL to get it done. You go to skillshop.withgoogle.com. This will be in the deck that gets shared with you, so you don't need to write that down. But you'll need a Gmail account or a Google linked email account. That's kind of like your login credentials for the platform. It's what tracks your progress. It's what you also will need to be able to create a Google Ads account. You need a Gmail account or Google linked account. So you can use the exact same one for those 2 things. And then you'll want to learn the fundamentals of Google Ads search, which will ultimately result in you passing this Google Ads search assessment. And when you're going through these modules, there's 9 of them. You can see them on the right in that blue box, and it's self-directed training. You can click through at your own pace. As you click through, the platform saves your progress. So, you know, you can do 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day if you decide to do that. And then at the end, there's an assessment to pass. And if you pass the assessment, oh, before that, sorry, here's just an example of what like this first module looks like to grow your business with Google Ads. There'll be some, 3 different things there. So that's a 15-minute module. And if you look on the right side, getting to know Google Ads is 4 of those 15 minutes. Supporting your business goals with Google Ads is 9 minutes. Checking your knowledge, like there's a couple like quick questions at the end, that's a couple minutes. So it's the same kind of format for all of them. So that get to know Google Ads, Google will tell you the benefits of Google Ads, 3 principles, relevance, control, and results, which is like a little bit of kind of like just Google wants you to know some of the Google propaganda. That's not going to be super practical knowledge for you, but you might see that kind of question like on the exam when you take it. Like, which 3 principles are Google Ads built around? Relevance, control, and results. Now you know one of the test answers. And then eventually, again, you take that test. It's a time test. You get 75 minutes. And if you get an 80%, you get this little digital gift certificate. You can put it on your LinkedIn page if you want. And just know that when you're then spending money in the platform, yeah, you just have a little bit more practical knowledge about what you're doing and how it works. Throughout the course of our presentation today, I'll reference some YouTube videos that are on the Root and Branch YouTube channel. So if any of this stuff looks like, hey, I want to learn a little bit more about that, there's going to be 6 video links at the end. The first one will be how to get certified in Google Ad Search. All right, moving on. Let's talk about campaign types in Google Ads, specifically display ads and search ads. So I think most of us are probably familiar with these, but we'll just talk about these 2 different kinds of ads briefly. So display advertising, if you look at that screenshot in the top right, that's from ESPN.com, and there are a couple ads on the page. At the top of the page, there's an ad, like there's some food, right? There's some like cream pies, it looks like some tamales maybe, some turkey. Yeah, so that's for a food delivery company called Goldbelly. And then if you look in the bottom right of the screen, there's like that red, almost square ad for Vanguard. Those are both called display ads. And we can run those through the Google Ads platform, the exact same platform that we use to run search ads. Display ads are kind of like, I think of them as like the billboards of the internet. They're not incredibly effective in driving an immediate response. That's what search ads are for. But display ads are really good to share a story, to share a message with an audience that you care about. So these display ads, these show up on websites that aren't Google, like ESPN.com. They don't show up on Facebook or Instagram because Facebook controls its own advertising ecosystem. But pretty much everything that's not like a social media site, you can reach with a display ad through the Google Ads network. And it's a very high reach potential. You could just say, hey, I want to show an ad to everybody for this period of time in this geography. And you can do that. And you can do it with a low cost per user. On average, it costs about half a cent to serve one of these display ads. You pay every single time the ad shows up, but you don't pay a lot. And it's really effective in helping to create awareness, like a billboard, right? Like maybe you have like a new product you're launching. Maybe you want to be able to target, let's say, 1 or 2 mile radius around your location. If you have a brick and mortar location, you can do that in the Google Ads platform and say, hey, I want to reach everybody with this specific demographic in my neighborhood, or in these 3 zip codes, or in all of Philadelphia, or in all of Pennsylvania. Like all of those different targeting decisions you can make in Google Ads. As I mentioned, there's not a huge likelihood that someone's going to take an action immediately. Like most people aren't, say, on ESPN.com reading about something, and then they see this Goldbelly ad, and they're like, oh, I immediately want to buy some food, because they just, They don't want to be interrupted by what they're already setting out to do, but it might kind of like plant a little idea in their brain so that when they come back later to their computer and they're in a different mindset and they're thinking, maybe I do want to order some food, they would then actually type that into Google, and you can see that kind of ad at the bottom. So if somebody searches for buy Goldbelly, you can see the search ad then that they would see. So before we talk about those search ads, just a couple more notes on display. They are paid for based on impressions, as I mentioned. So you pay regardless whether or not somebody clicks. That's called CPM pricing, cost per 1,000 impressions, where M stands for 1,000, or Roman numeral, I think, for 1,000. Search advertising, on the other hand, it's kind of like the inverse of display. So it shows up only on the Google search engine results page. That's the SERP. Relatively low reach. With search advertising, people see our ads based on the search terms that we decide to bid on. Those are called our keywords. So in the example, right, buy Goldbelly, that would be our keyword. If somebody searches for that, we can bid on that and be willing to pay Google if they click on it. If they don't bid on that, we're not going to reach them. So our reach is constrained by what people are searching for and what we choose to bid on. It's a relatively high cost per user. You might spend $2 or $3 for a click on a search ad. So that's significantly more, than the half a cent that we're paying to get our display ad in front of somebody. And the reason for the high cost, why hopefully it's worth it, is because we are trying to generate a conversion with that. So a conversion in digital advertising is like, what is the action that we want the user to take after they click on our ad? Do we want them to go to our website and book an appointment at our spa? Do we want them to go to our website, click through the ad, and buy something like, buy something from Goldbelly? Do we want them to go to our website and sign up for our email list? All of these things can be called conversion actions. And it's really just going to be dependent on what our business is and what our goals are. But search ads, the way that they work best is when we are thinking about using them with the express purpose of generating conversions, not just telling somebody you've got something, but doing it in a very compelling way so that they come through and convert. And that's why there's a higher likelihood of customer action. These people are sitting down at the computer telling us what they want to do. If we are there with the right ad and the right message, we have a good chance of getting them to convert. And we pay for them based on clicks. So it's called CPC pricing instead of CPM pricing with display. CPC pricing just means cost per click pricing. Some of you may have heard of the idea of the marketing funnel, just the idea that there's a whole universe of people out there. Some of those people will become our customers, but they don't become customers overnight. They go through this process of going through the marketing funnel, or sometimes called the user journey. So at the top of the funnel is where people initially get exposed to our businesses. That would be they need to generate awareness, right? So that's where display advertising works great, in my opinion. High reach potential, low cost per user, creating awareness, low likelihood of customer action, just like our billboard. And search, bottom of the funnel, relatively low reach, high cost per user. We're trying to get people to make a decision to choose our business. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So this is just, I think, an interesting chart. It's what the cost per click works out to by industry vertical. This is from one of the Google partner agencies called WordStream. So across all industries, the average is $2.69 a click for a search ad and 63 cents a click for a display ad. Now, those display ads, we're not paying on a per click basis. Remember, we're paying on a per impression basis. It's just what the math works out to. If we look at those search CPCs, and then there's on the right, GDN is Google Display Network. But if we look at the search side, we can see something like a click for a law firm in the legal services area. It's going to be really pretty expensive, $6.75. Whereas something in advocacy, maybe trying to generate some new email subscribers for a local nonprofit, it's going to be a lot lower. The reason is the value, and by value, I'm talking about like how much is a converted customer worth, that tends to correlate to how much people are willing to spend for their paid clicks in Google Ads. And that's because if a new client is worth a whole bunch of money, let's say for a law firm, whoever's running advertising for that law firm is likely going to be willing to spend a good amount for the chance to get that person. So as those advertisers compete against each other, it tends to drive the prices up to the point where, not past where it's inefficient to bid on it, because then why would you, be willing to spend, let's say, up to $300 for in paid clicks if the customer is only going to be worth 200 to you? That doesn't make sense. But up to the point where it can be efficient and make sense for the business. All right, let's talk about the search account structure in Google Ads. I'll just say before we jump into this, this was the single part that gave me the biggest headache when I was learning Google Ads. So I really like to try to emphasize this, and hopefully it's helpful for you. So let's say we're going to Google Ads, ads.google.com. That's where we go to create an account to build our campaign. If you're first creating an account for the very first time, you need to have that email address that I mentioned. You need to provide it with a funding source, typically a business credit card. You need to put your contact information in there. But then you're kind of off to the races. And we can build different types of campaigns. So search ads, which we were just talking about, digital display ads, which we were just talking about as well, top of the funnel. Both of those types of ad campaigns you can run without any additional setup work in Google Ads. But there are shopping ads as well. Like you'll see those sometimes in Google. If you're looking for a specific product, there'll be like a picture of a shoe and the price and the ratings. If you want to run those kinds of ads, it is a good bit more complicated. We're not talking about those today. It's the same platform, but those shopping ads require work with something called a Google Merchant Center account first, which will actually link up the inventory position of your store with your Google Ads account. And then video ads, which require a YouTube account that you then link up with Google Ads. We're talking search today. So the Google Ads account structure that we need to know for search campaigns, you need to know 4 terms: account, campaign, ad group, and keyword. Looks kind of like this. Account being at the top. And we'll just change that AdWords to ads because that's the current name. Within an account would be like your business, right? If you create a new account, you're going to have your email address in there, and Google will say, hey, this is for this business. But maybe your business has multiple, like maybe primary product lines. I do some work with a dermatology practice, and they think about their business in terms of like the medical side of dermatology and then the cosmetic side of dermatology. They have providers for both. They have different budgets for both. They have different values in terms of patients for both. So having your advertising account structured into campaigns lets you make different strategic decisions at the campaign level. So like which geographic area you're targeting, you do that at the campaign level. How much you're willing to spend each day, that's a decision you make at the campaign level. Underneath campaigns are things called ad groups. And an ad group is where you have collections of related keywords. We're going to work through an example of this just in a few minutes, but here's kind of the whole picture. So, and then below an ad group, you will have multiple keywords within an ad group, and your ads are matched up with your keywords inside of an ad group. So the idea is you're bidding on similar search terms within an ad group so that when you construct your ads, the ads can be highly relevant for that similar set of keywords that you're bidding on in your ad group. All right, so let's just talk about that a little bit more. The account, it's the entire company or organization. It's associated with a unique admin email and your billing details. The campaign might be, it's typically aligned with a major business line or category of products and services. So big decisions like your daily budget, location targeting, how you want to bid on it, and those types of decisions are at the campaign level. Ad group, collection of related keywords that share the same ads. And then your keyword is the specific search terms like buy gold belly that we looked at before, or dermatologist near me. Those are the specific searches that we are bidding on that can trigger our ad to show to users. So let's look at this for a sample business. This is a company that previously was running Google Ads, and they had a shooting range and they had a self-defense academy. So they ran all of these like fitness and self-defense and jujitsu classes, kind of a two-part business, but same business. So one account, we'll call it for sample biz, with two campaigns. One of their campaigns was focused on their shooting range, and the other campaign was focused on all of their, what they called academy classes. Let's look at that just academy classes breakdown. So they ran three types of classes: functional fitness classes, self-defense classes, and jujitsu classes. We use those three as our three ad groups. And the reason is, if you're looking for a jujitsu class, which I never have been, but would be kind of cool, like you're probably not super interested in seeing an ad that's telling you how great this place is at functional fitness. Like that might be kind of cool, but you really want to know, like, tell me about jujitsu, and vice versa. So if you're interested in functional fitness, you might be looking with a keyword like functional training class, fitness boot camp, or fitness class, or maybe just functional fitness. So those things in the red boxes there, those are our keywords that would all sit within the functional fitness ad group. And if anyone searches for one of those keywords within our ad group, and we're willing to bid on it. So these keywords, right? Each of them gets assigned a bid. A bid is how much we're willing to pay. Like Google, I'm willing to spend up to $2 for a click on this, or $3 or $1.75. These bids can either be manually created, that's manual CPC bidding, manual cost per click bidding, or we can ask Google to kind of manage them for us, and Google will do that if we apply what's called an automated bidding strategy. We'll talk about those a little bit later, but for the most part, it's important to know how this manual bidding works. So that's where most people start, and I would say in general, if you're just getting started with it, manual bidding is the best way to not lose money, I guess, because Google will sometimes take these automated bidding strategies, and if things aren't configured properly, it might not work out. Now, the text ads are created and assigned at that ad group level. So anybody who searched for functional training class, fitness boot camp, fitness class, functional fitness can see our ad. So there's our ad on the left: functional fitness classes, improve strength and mobility, live with confidence, 1 hour guided workout sessions, fit for a ranger. You can see it there, right? So there's our ad. Anybody searching on any of those 4 keywords can see the ad. And then we will bid on the keyword. So I've got a keyword here for one of the jujitsu ones, which is jujitsu near me. But you can see we've set that as a $2 max cost per click, which just tells Google, hey, I'm willing to spend up to this much. And there are other advertisers out there as well who are setting their own bids, right? So Google takes all those different bids, puts them into what Google calls the Google Ads auction, and figures out where different ads will show up on the page. That's kind of how it works. So Google, of course, is happy to say, ooh, why don't you put in an automated bidding strategy? I'll just like take care of it from here. Don't worry about how much you're going to pay. Because I mean, from a practical sense, if Google gets that kind of control from all advertisers, there's nowhere for the bids to go over time, but slowly to migrate up. All right, so that is kind of how the whole thing works. So the key concepts in terms: account, campaign, ad group, and keyword. That's how everything all fits together in Google Ads. Ads are assigned at the ad group level. Bids are managed, how much you're willing to spend on a specific click on a specific keyword. That's at the keyword level. Location targeting, we make that decision at that campaign level. And budgets in Google Ads are like, how much are you willing to spend each day in total? That's also set at the campaign level. There it is. So let's do like a quick click through of that business, sample business in the actual Google Ads platform. Pull it up right here. This is what Google Ads looks like. So within the platform, we're going to click into our campaigns. So campaigns and all campaigns. This is an account that used to be active. It is no longer active. All right. So we see there's actually 3 campaigns here, but the 2 that I was talking about, we see the general shooting range and the academy classes, and we're just calling this business sample business. They also did have a 3rd campaign, which we're not going to really focus on, but it's called brand and competitive. That's where they were bidding on their own company name. And also they were bidding on some competitors, which is one of the things you can do in Google Ads if you think people who are looking for your competitors should be looking for you instead, and they have a compelling reason that they should choose you. But let's click into this academy campaign, and we can see how this structure breaks down. So once we do that, now we're looking at the ad group level. Zoom this in a little bit. You can see that, and that's where we've got self-defense, jiu-jitsu, and functional fitness. So the ad groups live within the campaign. If you look all the way to the left of the screen, you can see that Google's kind of like helping us here with navigation where we are. So in the academy campaign, and then we can click into any of these 3 ad groups from here, or we can click over here as well. So let's look at jiu-jitsu, click into that. Now we're looking at the keyword level, and this is where we can see all of our keywords, right? So Brazilian jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu near me, jiu-jitsu class, regular jiu-jitsu. If we wanted to change this bid on jiu-jitsu Pittsburgh from $1.17 to, say, I don't know, $2.55, we can do that, right? Because this is not live anymore. We can just type in there and hit save. When you create an ad group for the first time, you'll give it a default bid. Let's say, you set it to like $2. So every keyword, you can just apply the same bid to it if you want. And let's see, here's an example. Down here, for Jitsu, Google is telling us, of course, this is not eligible to show because the campaign isn't live, but it's also saying it's below the first page bid. Whoop. I don't know if you guys can see that. I think maybe if you squint, you can. So the first page bid is $2.13. So if we saw that and this was still a live campaign, I just changed that to like $2.15 if I wanted to get it on the first page somewhere. If you want to create new keywords, there's this blue button, and it's the process. This is like the whole process. Jiu-jitsu near me. And you can see over here, Google is like giving us some ideas. When you enter keywords, if you enter them with a bracket around them, that is something called an exact match keyword, which basically means Google has very limited flexibility in terms of how many how many searches they can show the ad to. Like pretty much someone needs to be searching for jiu-jitsu near me in order for that ad to show. Whereas if you don't put any special characters around it and just left in jiu-jitsu near me, that's something called a broad match keyword, which Google takes a lot more liberties in showing your ads with that. And the match type, these are called match types, exact match on one end of the spectrum, broad match, kind of the most flexible on the other end. In between that is something called phrase match, which you use quotations around. Personally, I only use exact match and phrase match keywords. I think it's really hard for broad match keywords to work profitably. That's not what Google will tell you. That's just what I'm telling you, my own personal experience. And if you're also seeing some of these keywords with plus signs in front of them, that wasn't something that used to be available called broad match modifier, which is no longer available. Google took that option away from us. Thanks for nothing, Google. All right, so yeah, so we just looked at that campaign in our demo. And I'll just go through this very briefly. Hopefully this is a useful slide, but the decisions you can make at the account level in Google Ads, user access, who you can invite to your account, what your billing details are. If you want to link up your Google Analytics account so you can like send data back and forth, you do that at the account level. At the campaign, budget setting, geographic targeting, device targeting, ad scheduling if you want the ads to say only run during the weekdays. At the ad group level, it's where you set your ads. At the keyword level, your bids and your match types, which we just looked at those two things. All right, that's time for YouTube video number 2. If you want to go through that in more exhaustive detail, you can see it's a long video, but it's how to use campaigns, ad groups, keywords, and ads in Google Ads. All right, we'll talk briefly here about keyword selection and negative keywords. We already talked about keywords, so I won't spend too much time on this, but this is an old exercise. This was actually from the previous Google Ads training. They give you this hypothetical business, Marla's Cupcakes. So Marla, she makes cupcakes, does not have a brick and mortar location, but she delivers great buttercream cupcakes to a 20-mile radius around her business. What keywords would we be willing to spend money on? Food delivery near me, cupcake recipes, how to make the best buttercream cupcakes, DIY baking, best buttercream cupcakes, and cupcakes delivered. For me, there's only 2 that I would be willing to actually spend money if somebody clicks on. And the reason is, if I'm spending $2, I really need to have a pretty high expectation that the search intent of that person, based on what they typed into Google, tells me that there's a good chance that they are willing to buy delivered cupcakes from me. So cupcakes delivered, that's probably going to be my #1 keyword. And I would make sure I'm focusing my budget on that. I might be interested in best buttercream cupcakes. I mean, I probably actually would bid on that, but I'm definitely not going to spend any money on DIY baking, how to make best buttercream cupcakes, or cupcake recipes. I'm very much not interested in people who like cupcakes, but aren't willing to spend their cupcake money on me. And food delivery near me at the top, I'd say that's kind of like a maybe, right? Because like, if you think about somebody who's searching for that, they're probably looking for like lunch or dinner. Maybe they're looking for dessert. So it might be worth testing, but I would be much more excited about the 2 at the bottom. So Google has these things called negative keywords. So if we said, for example, we want to make sure our ads never, ever, ever show up when somebody includes in their search term string into Google, like DIY or how to make or recipes, right? Like those would probably be 3 great negative keywords. We can add them as negative keywords in our Google Ads account. And the way to do that, we'll just look at that again very briefly. Here we are in our Jiu-Jitsu ad group. We have our search keywords that we're bidding on right here, but right below it, where I'm kind of wildly hovering my mouse, is negative keywords. So you can see, right, like we've got some negative keywords in here for like free, people looking for free Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes. We don't want to pay out for that. Or golf or jobs. This is not like a hiring campaign. We are not looking for people who wanted a job or an internship or a career. So those things become our negative keywords, which we can add to over time as we see which specific search terms people are actually clicking on. So we got our search keywords that we're bidding on, our negative keywords that we don't want to pay for, and then the actual search term that somebody typed in that before they clicked. Like Jiu-Jitsu, Pittsburgh, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you can see them all here. So my personal take is if you are starting with Google Ads for the first time and you're testing it out, I recommend a very small set of highly focused keywords. You can always expand from there, but think about like what are the representative search terms of somebody who's the most interested in spending money with your business. It's not, I know some people can get really creative here and they think like, well, if my business is, you know, I'm a plumber, well, no, let's be a different one. I do like custom pool installations. So somebody who's looking for like goggles for their kids, they might be a good customer. So maybe I should bid on goggles, because if they're bidding for goggles, maybe they have a pool or maybe they want a pool. I would tell you that's a really bad idea. Seems good, bad idea, because somebody who's looking for goggles in that moment, they're looking for goggles because they want to buy goggles. If they are seeing your pool ad, they might click on it because they're interested, but they're probably not going to buy from you at that moment. It's way better to save your budget for when somebody's looking for pool home builders, pool home installers near me, best pool installation service in Philly, etc. All right, so after we get our keywords, we need really good ads. So here's a Google support article. I'm just kind of ripped that off here and put this on the screen. And there are three main elements to a search ad. Your headline, which you can create up to 3, each with 30 characters in length. Something called your display URL. This is your opportunity to make the actual URL that someone's clicking through. Like you can kind of customize it a little bit to make it look more tailored to the thing they're searching for. We'll see an example of that in a second, because that probably sounds pretty weird. That can be 15 characters each. And then your description, you get 2 descriptions of up to 90 characters each. Here's a screenshot from the Google Ads platform for a different campaign. This is for a 55 and up active living community in Oxford, Connecticut, close to where I'm originally from. So there's headline 1, 55 plus living in Oxford CT. This is what it looks like in Google Ads. And that's where your headline 1 would show up in your ad. See the Meadowbrook community. There's our call to action, and that's where headline 2 shows up. These things in green here, where it says 55 plus community and Oxford, that's that display path. It doesn't change where someone's clicking through to, but if somebody's interested in a 55 and up community in Oxford, they see this ad. Everything in the ad is telling them this is the thing you're looking for. They're going to be much more likely to click on it. And as long as the website is actually delivering on this, they're going to be much more likely to convert. You want to have consistency between the search terms you're bidding on, your keywords, what your ad looks like, and the actual landing page or the web page where you're driving people to, as much as possible. And then you can see right now there was just that one description, schedule a tour today. And that's where that description shows up. That's how you build an ad. Now, there's also a bunch of other stuff under there that we're going to talk about in a few slides. Those are ad extensions. Before that, a note about responsive search ads. This is kind of a new thing. And actually, I think it's in 2 months, in June, Google says, hey, your only options are to build these things called responsive search ads. So for a responsive search ad, there's 2 headlines. Get a no obligation quote for a Pittsburgh driveway paving company. What Google is having us do now is create a whole bunch of like list of eligible headlines. And then Google says, don't worry about building different ad combinations to test things. I'm just going to assemble them for you and figure out the best combination. So helpful in saving time, sometimes not so great because Google continues to take more control from advertisers, but we don't really get a choice. They didn't ask me. If they did ask you, that's great, but I don't ask most people. And the same thing goes for these descriptions in green. So blue box, headline options that we give to Google, again, still same character limits up to 30 characters each. Google will assemble those into ads for us. And then we can create up to 4 of these 90 character descriptions that then Google will pick 2 of them and put in our ads. All right. So now let's talk about this other stuff that shows up underneath our headline, our URL and path and description. What's all this other stuff with the red arrows? Those are ad extensions. And if you are going to be using Google Ads and you set up great Google, you have a great narrow keyword list, preferably using exact match keyword match types as much as possible. You have great compelling ads that reinforce the keyword theme that people are bidding on, and you use ad extensions, I would say you are going to be better off than most people. Many people are not using ad extensions at all. What Google says about ad extensions is they provide the right users with the right info at the right moment. For example, if I'm looking for something on my phone and I'm on a mobile device, I might be shown something that's called a call extension, which basically turns the ad that I'm looking at into like a click to call, as opposed to something that's called a site link extension, which would be additional hyperlinks for more research. Because if I'm on my phone, I'm probably not in a mood to do a bunch of research. I just want to call somebody. The 4 most important types of ad extensions we'll review those. Site links. They direct users to a specific page on the website. They are hyperlinked for more information. Call extension. Allow mobile users to directly call a business. Call out extensions. These are kind of like punchy, value-adding attributes, maybe like free consultation or BBB A+ rating, or free shipping, whatever. That's a call-out extension. And then something called a structured snippet extension, which describes features of a specific product or a range of products or services. The classic example is like a car dealership might list all of their models, or a law firm might list out their specific services. So here's an ad, law firm near me, for Smith Butts Attorneys at Law in Southwestern PA. Everything there in that red box, those are all site links. So each of those four different additional links, you can see it provides more information, takes up more space, and Google really likes them. Using ad extensions increases what's called our quality score, which over time, Google will say, hey, you know what? You're a really good advertiser. You're not even going to need to pay as much per click compared to some other advertisers out there because you seem to really care about this. And Google cares because Google wants people who are clicking on ads to have a good experience, so they keep using Google and they don't use DuckDuckGo or Bing or Yahoo or whatever. Here's another search. So Home Depot paint. All of this stuff, top paint brands, free in-store pickup, interior, exterior paint, buy paint online, buy online or in-store. All of that stuff that's highlighted there, those are all the call out extensions. And then you can see below that, they have their site links as well. Interior paint project, popular paint colors, paint tools, interior stain project. So if you didn't know, like if you've never like set up ad extensions, you wouldn't necessarily know, well, you definitely wouldn't know that these are different parts of the ad, but they're built in a different place in the Google Ads platform than just the regular headlines and descriptions. Here's another ad for a Porsche dealer. And there's an example of a structured snippet. The different models, the Cayenne, the Panamera, and the Macan. And then those are actually their site links there, but Google, just because there's less amounts of space available, Google didn't show the descriptions of those site links. They just listed the actual links. And that's something to know as well. Like when we create ad extensions, we just create them, and then Google will say, hey, I'm going to take the space that's available. I'm going to take what I know about the user, and I'm going to show what I think is going to be best. There's another search with some site links. All right, so we have only 14 minutes left. I'm going to take like maybe 5 of those, and then we'll do some questions if you guys have them. But I wanted to show kind of like a before and after ad, some text ads, what they look like before and after ad extensions were appended, just so you can see what a big difference they make. So here's an ad for an elder law attorney in Pittsburgh. They actually did have a couple of ad extensions, but they didn't look particularly good. That right there is a call out extension, where instead of just putting in a call extension, they wrote call now, which is not super effective. You can see there's kind of like a typo in one of their site links where it says good long-term care with a capital C and a capital A. It looked just kind of junky. And then a really weird site link here, like if you are looking for new clients for your elder law firm, you probably don't want to be sending someone to go research nursing homes. Like, sure, that might be something they're interested in the future, but at that moment, you don't want to distract them to go do that. You want them to make a decision to choose you as a law firm. Here's what that same ad looked like on mobile instead of on desktop with the good long-term care. So after just using all of the space available in building an ad, there's what the ad preview looks like on the right. Just like far more comprehensive, far more professional. That's what it looks like on mobile after we added these ad extensions. So there's the structured snippet. So what kind of services did they have? Life care planning, Medicaid planning, wills, powers of attorney. You can see it there. There's their call out extensions and their site links. So you just create those in Google and then Google will apply them to your ads. So if we look at before and after of desktop and mobile, there's the before versions, and here's the after. I think makes a huge difference, definitely had a big impact in terms of how effective the ads were in converting. If you're going to be spending multiple hundreds of dollars or even more per month, it's highly worth it. Quick note about budget. This is just my personal take, but I think if you're considering Google Ads for the first time, I think probably like $100 is maybe like the minimum that I would consider being willing to invest in a month to kind of learn. If it's much less than that, it's probably not going to be worth your time, candidly. But yeah, if you got like $100 a month and you're okay if in the first month or 2 months it's not profitable for you, but it's trending towards getting better and improved responsiveness and improved metrics, then that's probably pretty good. Oh, and also here's the after when we set up geographic targeting within Google. You can say, hey, just give me 10 miles or 15 miles of a radius around my business location. Pretty easy. All right, that gets us to the link to the third YouTube video, more about ad extensions and text ads in Google Ads. That link will be at the end. I'm gonna probably just like stop this here, but I'll just mention about metrics and conversions. These entire like next 5 slides that we're going to go through about like what are the metrics for success in Google Ads and how do you use them, that pretty much same content is in this 4th video right here. So if that is something that's interesting to you, I would recommend checking that out. So yeah, now I'll stop. 10 minutes left to see if there's any questions. If there's not, I can keep rolling, but for now, are there any questions?
We are looking pretty good in the chat and Q&A. Oh, there we go. Is it possible to use video for display ads? Is it effective?
So it is possible to run video ads, but it's technically a whole different campaign type from an actual display ad. I'm trying to go back to this slide. Oh, right here. So if you wanted like ads to run on YouTube, for example, you would actually pick this campaign type in the top right, where you'd build a video ad and you'd link up a YouTube account. And it's actually really pretty quick to build because Google basically just allows you to take like a snippet of the YouTube video that you already made and make that your ad. And yeah, I do think they can be really effective.
Cool. Another question, how much should I spend per month for ads on Google for a dental office? very specific question.
That's a specific question and a good question. So what I tend to tell clients is like, how much is a new customer or new patient or new client worth? So just make up some like super rough numbers. Let's say it's like total hypothetical, $100 like is like going to be the value of a patient per year. Maybe they come 2 times, and that's kind of like what the business makes in profit. Then you can maybe like account for what's the lifetime value of that patient. Do I want to just base my math off of a 1-year payback timeline, or does an average patient maybe stay for 5 years, in which case the lifetime value might be $500. But from there, think about like, what is the conversion rate that I would expect on getting someone to click on my ad? So like a really good conversion rate might be like 10%. So this like dermatology client I mentioned, about 10% of the people who click on an ad coming from the keyword dermatologist near me will end up filling out a form to become a patient or calling the office to schedule an appointment. So we know, let's say it's going to take us 10 paid clicks to get that new patient. And if the cost per click is $10, it's not that high, but let's say it was. If you're gonna need to spend $100 to get that one patient, 10 clicks times $10 a click, $100, and $100 might be maybe the value of that patient. If the cost per click is $5, then the math works out in a more favorable way. So yeah, that's why I personally think starting with like $100 a month at the minimum is a good place to start. Start with that narrow group of keywords, maybe, dentist near me, best dentist in whatever town or geography you're in. And then kind of go from there. If you're getting good results, it's easy to change your budget. It's like a 1-click thing. Let me show you where to do that. At the campaign level. So if we wanted to change our average daily budget in Google Ads, changing this from $28 a day to, if we change that to $56 a day, that would double our budget. So I would start small and then build from there. Advisable to create Google Ads directly or go through different marketing companies. Yeah, I would say different companies make different decisions there. If you have someone internally who's able to do it, like I have a neighbor, she has a dentistry practice. Her husband like provides some like office support for her, and he also he runs their Google Ads account, and he probably carves out maybe 3 to 4 hours a month to do that. If you or someone on your staff has the time to do that, then I think it's worth doing it in-house if you can. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's worth looking at paying someone. If you pay someone, the thing to know is like the cheapest that's typically out there is maybe like $200 a month to pay somebody. So if you're not spending a budget of like, I don't know, $500 or $600 at least, it's probably not going to work out from a math standpoint to pay someone else. Unless you have someone like me, when I was like trying to learn and like pitching my aunt to like, please let me learn how to learn Google Ads, in which case you can get those people for free. So like maybe you've got somebody in your family or a neighbor who wants to learn, this could be like the kind of free internship opportunity. Those are always the best kinds of people to help for small businesses. So Nathan asks, can you target specific career or job types? For instance, I want to advertise a product to school districts. I would need the superintendent to see the ad. So Google has something that they call audience solutions. You can do some of that, but it's not going to be like, if you wanted to target a specific job title, LinkedIn advertising would be the place to do that, which would be a different discussion from today. But you could do something. So here I'm looking at audiences here. So under campaigns, ad groups, our ads and extensions, our keywords, all things we talked about, there's this audiences feature. And it is possible in here to target different groups of people. So some of the basics are you can target by age, gender, household income. And then you can add what are called audience segments. So, you know, for somebody who, oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, this is perfect. LinkedIn Basics webinar on 4/28. Yes, you guys are covered. That is not something that I know much about. So I'm glad that you guys have that resource there. But yeah, if we wanted to, let's see, school districts. So Google will kind of give us, so this is not exactly it. But you can see that there's some stuff that's here. I don't think we can target like school administrators. I wonder if we can target like school teachers. Yeah, not exactly, right? We can target people that like are related to primary and secondary schools. We can target people that are looking for educational resources. Education. We can target, you know, by types of school, pre-K versus, you know, K through 12 versus primary school. But yeah, that LinkedIn seminar will be the way to go for getting superintendents. If the monthly ad budget is used up before the month is over, does Google let me put more money in for the month, or is my campaign suspended for the month because the money is all used up? That's a really great question. So the way that budgets are set, remember it's at that campaign level. So we're back at the campaign. You actually set a daily budget. And what Google tells you is there might be some fluctuation from day to day, but Google will not, in a given month, Google will not spend more than your daily budget multiplied by 30.4, because 30.4 is, you know, average number of days in a month. So your budget will not all be used up. So for this budget, right, Google might spend 19 bucks one day, 22 the next, but over the course of the month will average out exactly to $21 a day. And if you wanted to change it, you just change it here. If for some reason you wanted to stop spending, this feature here, green means go, Google's happy to spend. And if you just change it to pause, Google will stop spending. Yeah, that was a really good question.
We have one more question in the Q&A, and while we have this little break here, I posted a link in the chat. It's to a survey that takes less than 1 minute to fill out, and it is required by our funders so that we can continue to offer these webinars. So if everyone could take a moment and just fill that out, and I'll read out our final question. Oh, it might cut out.
Oh, I can see it here, I think. How do you identify keywords?
There you go. There you go.
So how do you identify keywords that you should use for ads? Is there a resource that you should reference? So I'm going to give you two answers. The first answer is there is a resource under tools and settings. There's a tool called Keyword Planner. So tools and settings, under planning, you can see Keyword Planner, and you can use this tool and Google's going to give you a whole bunch of ideas. If you just hit this, discover new keywords, you know, for our dentist, right? You might look for like dentist near me. Google's going to give you a bunch of ideas. My personal recommendation, so Google will tell you, right, how much should you be willing to spend for dentist near me? It's $6.12 on the low end, $20.75. That's expensive on the high end. How often people are searching for these keywords, and then a whole bunch of other keywords as well. My advice would be just to be like, don't overthink it. Like, think about like, what's the most basic fundamental thing that someone would be searching for, because that is typically the keyword that will convert the best. All right, I just went 1 minute over. Sorry about that.
No, that's perfect. And since we have all the questions answered, I think we are good to close out. Zach, thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and I hope everyone has a lovely Thursday. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.